Good evening, folks. Welcome to another session for the old Wise Asylum. Still in the old pad. Few delays, but it's all been sorted today. So next week should be in a new pad, and it should be looking good as well. So anyway, busy week, but not really busy doing any of this malarkey. So I've just pulled one together today. Well, this evening, based on what I've seen in the week, which is not that much, because I've actually been watching a bit of telly, believe it or not. And a few little things and points to make about that, what I've seen as well, which is rather worrying. Anyway, hope you're well. It's getting colder. Christmas is nearly here. And the cheer is on. And I know a lot of people this year seem to be making a big effort with the old Christmas decorations everywhere. And that's good. That's good indeed. I like it. So keep that up, everybody, I would suggest. So, I watched one of Sean Ross's recent videos, and the guy's so interesting. You know, he's definitely done his own work. And you look at this, the House of Rothschild. You know, I can't help but think that it's deliberate that they're being shown for what they are, because they're being thrust aside. And obviously everything moving to the east, there's a new court financier family in the mix. Now, who that is, I don't know. We'd have to go through some of the old Chinese families, I would suggest, to find that. But he's going to be tied into the Sassoon, the Dangor, Breakspear, and the Kadori, without a shadow of a doubt, because of course Breakspear have been running China on behalf of the Holy See since Middle Ages, when they left Blighty. But you've got Dangor, you've got Kadori, you've got Sassoon, and I did a live stream a couple of years ago, I think it was last year maybe, on the Exelarch, because that is the position that's running this Noahide system. And people need to recognise that that's where the power in this Sabbatean Frankist do sin to bring in the Messiah doctrine comes from. And the precursor to the Messiah was a guy called the Rebbe. And again, people don't realise the importance of this fella in his gathering to his cause Western leaders, especially one Polish guy, Milikowski, who you guys today know as Benjamin Netanyahu, because it was the Rebbe. He works for the Rebbe. The Rebbe's dead. My apologies while I just... Sorry. I need to get my feet up. So this Rebbe fella, out geezer, proper fruit bat, and he used to pay people with $1. So he's even using American currency. What does that tell you? But just have a little gander at this. So there's the Rebbe with the beard, a proper fruit bat, and there you've got Milikowski as a younger man being pulled in by this precursor to the Mashiach, as they're all waiting for. But of course they're going to pretend he's called Jesus, twinning him, of course, with the twin brother of Jesus, as it was, and the real son of Joseph, as opposed to the son of the Almighty. So they're twinning here. It's all twinned. It's all garbage. And of course you've got a fruit bat twin whom these lot are going to taught you the way of the man, when in fact it's complete shit. You probably had a very jealous twin brother. And that's the guy who ended up in India, that all these Muslims and that believe he went to India. No, it was his brother. It's his twin. You know, and people don't really see that kind of stuff, but that's the way it is. So this is the Rebbe. The Exarch and such are all operating on the doctrine that this guy promoted, which is Sabbateanism, which we looked at. We've looked at it a few times. Do seem to bring in the Mashiach. And there you've got Milikowski, a.k.a. Netanyahu, pretending to be, of course, a Semitic guy. Guy's from Poland. Doing everything he can to please the Rebbe for the dollar, which is what the Rebbe gives everybody. And this is Western leaders. Everybody that went to meet the Rebbe got $1 and were encouraged to do more, do something more. And of course, when he said to Milikowski, do more, that fella took it on board and did more. More and more and more and more and more. Now, the group that I've mentioned many times that are around this Rebbe, he's dead, of course, but that are following and implementing his doctrine is Chabad Lubavitch. Now, it's spelled Chabad, so, but it's pronounced Chabad Lubavitch. So if you see it written and you're thinking, well, no, it's just the way it's pronounced. And that is the priesthood. So when you looked at images of the American presidents from Carter onwards, signing on Education Day every year, surrounded by these rabbis they are Chabad Lubavitch. Okay, so that's who's, and they say it's Education Day, when in fact what it is, it's basically the American presidents signing off the fact that they're going to obey this treaty with this Sabbatean cult, who of course are going to stand as the judges in a Sanhedrin over and above all the Gentiles. And this is what's going on right now, and you can see this moving forward. You can see what's going on in Syria. They've moved in the Broom, which is ISIL, all these Sunni Islamist, extreme Talmudic purveyors of Islam, moved them in right across a Christian country, Syria. And are now in place. Assad apparently has fled to Moscow. So you can see that the Broom, which is what this priesthood claims Islam to be for Israel, has moved them in now across Syria, of course, in readiness and playing on with this extension of the greater Israel, in readiness for this attack on Iran, as it may be. Now, there's been a bit of debate as to who Gog and Magog is. That a lot of, sort of like from the doctrine coming out of the Rebbe, they see Russia as coming in from the north and attacking Israel. And with what's just happened now, because of course Assad is allied with Moscow, with China, with Iran, it may be that that is indeed what they are planning, to unleash Russia down into the Middle East. Of course, I've said before, Ukraine, as well as removing the breadbasket from Europe and reinstituting land that belong to the Khazars, who are in essence the people that run Israel, no Semitic blood in them at all, they're all Khazars. You can see they're putting the land back into their hands as well, so that the elites can flee Israel just before all this shenanigans is set to take place. And so this is basically what we're playing with here, but it's the Exarch that's missing from from all the talk, all the investigations that you see people taking on board. So I put it up on Sean Ross's video just as a link to see if they fancied picking it up. And by all accounts, it would appear some people did, because the video that we made a few, maybe last year, I can't remember, got quite a few hits, and I'm presuming it's from that link, so people now may be a bit more aware of what it is that we need to be looking at. And let's start to reckon with this idea that the Rothschilds are being exposed as they are deliberately. Because, of course, they claim, in people's minds, they represent a Western empire, when in fact, the empire runs the whole show. You know, it runs everything. It's the arm, the military might, the financial might of these bloodline families that have shifted over into the East. They've pretty much demolished the Roman Church. They implemented the Vatican corporate state, which is what everything now is aligning under in this Noahide system. So the Noahide system is utilising this Vatican corporate state as the sort of centre point for this finance, especially nicking land, property, etc., through the WEF, through what was that big charity that Prince Philip and Bernard set up with the panda. It always has the panda, doesn't it? That's another arm that's been nicking land for conservation. All these conservation, National Trust, all these things that are going on in America, where they're now scaring Americans from going into the national parks. Again, it's just to keep you out. So they've got all these scare games going on. Bigfoot's killing people. Skinwalkers are killing people. These strange monsters. It's all playing into this. They're taking the land. They don't want you to see what's going on. So they don't want Americans hunting in these national parks where they've done forever, as they close in on all this land and property that's being assigned now to the Vatican state through your estate on person being dragged in there. So you can see everything now moving. This cult of Noahide is pulling itself together. You've got Trump there loading himself up with all the Noahides that you can imagine. So you can see now that that's what's going on. You've got Elon Musk, the so-called hero of the fruit bats that can't see past the nose. Joe Rogan's bigging him up. Alex Jones is bigging him up. You've got Elon Musk is now funding Mel Gibson. You know what I mean? You can see now. I mean, when Mel Gibson released that film he did earlier in the year or end of last year, there were a lot of people who looked at some of these people in it, some of these people funding it, and one in particular, one of the main funders, had actually been done for human trafficking. So there were, the red flags were showing there when that were going on. And now, of course, ultimately you can see Musk. And I'm not interested in Musk anymore. They've annihilated my Twitter this week and last week. Just because I've been putting my old website stuff up there, so they don't, like I said before, there's stuff on that website they want to forget. They don't want the data out. So they've annihilated my Twitter. So screw you, Musk. It's your turn tonight to get a bit of a shit on. But this is what it's all about. Musk, all of them, Trump, and it looks even like now, because you've got 50 Cent. If you're into the rap, he's now moving in to take over from Jay-Z. Yet that black girl, I can't remember her name right now, the main exposer of the Diddy cult, I think because she lost one of her offspring to it, and she's been pumping out lots and lots and lots of information from which other people have expanded. It's very clear that 50 Cent is in exactly the same category as Diddy and Jay-Z, and he's just muscling in now to sort of take over when these two fall. So you can see they're just exchanging it for the same, but while you're out there listening and believing that there's sides and that they're all separate, you're not seeing the game. And same with Mel Gibson. If that's the case, which I have to say, and red flags that are so in there, and you look at Braveheart, complete rewrite of history, it's like, where are you, Gibson? What's your game, son? What is your game, really? Because if Elon Musk has just put millions into your latest flick, Yeah, it's a little bit worrying, if you ask me, as to what's going on. And of course, this Abe Finkelstein, we did the video, we watched it, and I don't, you've got to really listen to that interview, to listen to what Abe Finkelstein is telling you. Because I've said it before, in that interview, it was Finkelstein, in my opinion, that was being true and honest. I'm not saying you have to like what he said, you probably won't. But if you're looking at the characters in that interview, Finkelstein came off far more honestly than the other guy, who seemed to be trying to play a battle he could never win, because he really was lacking in seeing the big picture. But you could see the genuineness of what Finkelstein, he weren't happy to tell you exactly as it is. And there's a lot of information in that interview, especially in relation to how you can see that they've bred these Holy See families that we look at today to be white, to look white. Yeah, it's the black nobility, remember, that we're dealing with here. The Asiatic, Persian. You're looking at Genghis Khan, you're looking at Attila the Hun. These kind of characters, although Attila the Hun was more of a Scythian, but the Scythians were made up of so many different tribes, it's quite ridiculous. But you can see that the entire Holy See, because I've said this before, if you can see it, it's a front. And interestingly, if you want to get an insight into actual wealth that's behind these Holy See families, you might say, you've got to go back to John Coleman in one of his lectures, where he's speaking about families of wealth that made the Rothschilds look like pikeys, his own words. And now I have tried to decipher what he's saying. And I spent hours and hours in the past trying to decipher what he was saying, and then Google it, see if I would go. I can't understand what names he's given to these families. But he's making it clear that these are the families that you don't hear about. These are the families that hold the wealth, the families that have pulled together what they call the fonde, which is the wealth of the ages, the old money, bloodlines that have had this power since the days of Rome, and kept hold of it and pulled it together and formulated these fronts for everybody to see. And you can see clearly, it's as clear as day, especially if you've studied how the bloodlines play these breeding programs, specifically in how they used to take over a nation. First, they have to breed into so if they're breeding into the Chinese, if they want Chinese puppets, it may take 3 generations for them to breed with specifically Chinese bloodlines, in order to procure a front that is acceptable to the country that they're looking to take over, and then perceived by the enemies as, oh look, it's China or Japan, whichever country you're speaking of. And this is how they play this. They specifically breed into other races in order they can create puppets that are accepted by the nation that's targeted, and then by its enemies to be seen as, oh, look, it must be them, because look, it looks like that. And you can see that this Holy See, as it's presented today, they're all white. And that's purposeful. Because, of course, they want everybody to believe that the empire is a white-based empire. For the last 400 years, correct, in the main, it's been administered and sort of carried out by captured Aryan races. Nobody can deny that. It's plain to see. But I've said this many times, as I looked into old battles and colonialisation, what you can see clearly is the East Indias, which is the empire, the colonising entities, they would invade a nation using a particular nation's ensign on their navy. And yet, when you looked into who was doing the fighting on the ground, it was the Hessian, which was a massive private mercenary force. In the main, you're talking Scandinavian and Germanic, but also Mongolian as well. And that doesn't get put about much neither. There's a lot, everything's hidden about the degree to which the Mongol races have played against Europe, and also then the colonizations that went on from Europe. It's very well hidden. But you've got to study the Venetians to start to see that there's a major connection between the Venetians and the Mongolians of Genghis Khan. And it's been so for a very long time. Same with Stalin. You know, the majority of Russians were murdered from 1917 to 1927 by the Bolshevik Revolution. The majority of people that were carrying out the Soviet system were in the main Mongols. His army, Stalin's army, was basically made up of Mongols, because after Stalingrad, again, they'd killed what were left of the white Russian males. This is how it works, but you don't see that picture, because that's not the picture they want you to see. And they breed specifically to make the world look and think that what it is they're telling you you should see is what you should see, because your eyes are seeing it. You're two thieves. The two thieves are seeing it and removing the truth because your third eye isn't in place. Your Christ vision has been taken over and the thieves have stolen it. The two thieves at either side of the cross. So, with that in mind, just have a look. Where do I put it? No. Oh, I think I took... Oh, I'm clever, me. Right, so let me just have a... So look at this, right? We'll start it here, then we'll go into that in a minute. So this is just 5 Rothschilds. William now known because he's just been found dead. But if you look at Sir Evelyn de Rothschild on the left, now look at that head. Look at that facial shape. Who does that look like? It's as plain as day, isn't it? Who does that look like at a glance? You can't miss it, people. And then you're into Greg Allett's things where he said that the Rothschilds have sired the English monarchs since they took it over after Battle of Waterloo for breeding rights. Look at that head, brow, nose, cheeks. It's undeniable when you look now at this, and that now explains this next image. Does it not? Daddy telling little boy how it is. Now, okay, I'll put it another way, because I'd say that's the real Charles. Because the one we seem to see now is very different. Would you agree? Twin, perhaps. I don't know. But the one we have today doesn't look like that Charles. And it's been so for quite some time. But there you've got Daddy telling little boy. So when you used to hear that Charles was terrified of his father, and obviously everybody pointed at Philip, no, we're looking at Evelyn de Rothschild. Daddy Rothschild. So these breeding programs are so clever. And then you've got Lord Jacob down the bottom, Longhead. Now that does look like William's old fella to me. Really does. And so that you could say this idea that William was sired by, what's he called? Bloody hell. King of Spain, as he was, is a deflection. Because he's got the long head, and William has certainly got the long head, hasn't he? And he looks nothing like his dad. Although I did see a picture not long ago that I had to accept, ooh. But then of the Rothschild clan. But it's the exolarch that's important, because the exolarch isn't of the Rothschild clan unless it's a branch of it. If I remember rightly, that's to do with the Dangoe, which we discussed, if you remember, in the video previously last year. So there's some interesting stuff there to have a look at. But remember, it's all based around this guy, the Rebbe, and his cult of Sabbatean mysticism, Talmudism. But it even inverts the Talmud in a lot of cases as well, this Sabbateanism. And when it was launched, the majority of real Jews wouldn't accept it. They wouldn't accept it. So, though it says it's a Jewish thing, in truth, it actually isn't. You know, it actually isn't. So then you can get back to those that say they are, but aren't. But Abe Finkelstein was very clear, was he not? They all know. They just pretend they don't. And you've got to take what Finkelstein said as truth to what he was saying. So in essence then, those that say they are that aren't have managed to capture those that actually are. And should be claiming not to be the other. Because they're actually not. It's not their tradition in truth, but they're sensing they may gain something, so they just keep quiet about it. Unless, you know, there are some that don't keep quiet about it. And that's good, you know, then, that they've seen the light. And they know that it's basically an aberration of the real Jewish tradition. So I need to go here. Oh, no, because I had a... Right, here we go. So, take a little chufty at this little blighter. Asiatic features there, without a doubt. They seem to have been able to hide it well these days. It doesn't look as Mongolian as he does in that. But there are images of Musk that you can see it. You know? And this guy's being put up as a billionaire, self-made, when really he does absolutely nothing. All his money has come from the American taxpayer. You know? You look at SpaceX, it's just CGI, it's absolute garbage. And anybody that sucks it up, in my opinion, really isn't a full shilling. If you were looking at that CGI, SpaceX takeoffs and landings and believing it real. It's not to say there aren't some rockets setting off and that are real when you can see people in the back, but I'm talking about in general. You look at the state of the imagery on it, you can see it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous that people suck it up, like the space station stuff. It's ridiculous that people don't see it. You know, there's lots of videos where it's showing them on the, you know, they've got wires on. And it's such a nonsense. But this guy's clearly got Mongol features, without a doubt. Without a shadow of a doubt in my eyes there. Which brings us to... Now, I've said I've had this for a while, but I'm going to play it and you can make your own mind up. Because We can't claim to know, we can't claim to say it's fact, but this is what one particular lady had to say about this character. Where is it?
I love Jesus, Jesus Christ. He saved me. I want to tell you something. I'm an old lady, kind of. I'm 55. I was born in San Francisco in 1965. When I was a girl, I was in San Francisco. I was procured and sent to work for a family. There were 3 generations. There was a boy, the boy's mother, and the boy's grandfather. They were coming from Africa. They were white as me. I thought they'd be black. They were coming from Africa. And because of something the boy did, I never told what he did. The boy did something very dark when he was very little. And I was just coming to know Jesus. And Jesus saved me. And anyway, the boy did something very dark. And I never told what he did. And then one day I asked someone in the circle, Imelda, Joaquin's mother. I asked Imelda, I said, is he the Antichrist? I was 13 years old. She didn't even blink. She said, no, but he will present the mark. And when you see him do that, the Antichrist will take the stage. So, now here we are, 40 years later. Boom, that boy is the star of the world. He's the king of the world, but Jesus Christ is the king of my heart. Okay. The boy's name then was El Elyon, but it's changed over time. But we're 40 years later, and I see that boy everywhere, and the world adores him, but he's the king of Babylon. And I'm going to call you out, choose you this day whom you will serve. Be it God, serve him. Be it the king of Babylon, serve him.
Oh, I say. Oof. So, fair play to him. He's kept it up on his Twitter. He's not took it down. So she says he's the king of Babylon. Now, Trump is King Cyrus in this game. And King Cyrus was a military leader back in the day who was invited into Babylon. He didn't take it over by force. He was invited in by the section of Babylon overlords that had took it over and wanted rid of the old guard that was still causing problems and preventing the new idea from taking hold. So King Cyrus was invited in to take over Babylon, which he did. Once he took over Babylon, there was already the captives there, as they call them, the Judahites, who'd been in captivity. And they'd been learning from the Babylonian priesthood. I would suggest the origin of the Talmud, perhaps. And they were busy formulating the Old Testament, or the laws as was set out for that time. And it was Cyrus who emancipated those captives and enabled them to build the Second Temple, which they did. Now, when they built the Second Temple, they all realised that they didn't know their arse from their elbow. They had no idea how to run it. So they invited the priesthood in Babylon that they call the Levites to run it. And they did. And you're telling me that had anything to do with biblical, outside of the fact that it were put in it, sacrifice and all the nasty stuff that goes with it. The very temple, if you accept the sanity in the gospel, that man came to destroy. So when the Jews tell you that it's the same guy that's coming for this new temple, what's happened to you that you can actually believe that? And this is what I said last week. These people that are saying that you're the profane are the profane because they believe nonsense. And you don't have to be an historian. You don't have to have studied the Bible for your entire life to see this ambiguity. It's there for you to see. Yet, 80% of American Christendom are sucked into this. You're evangelicals. This is what you're promoting. This is what you're pushing. This is what you've been funding. It's like, and people will say, oh, it's disgraceful what's happening. Well, you're doing it. And Trump is pulling it in as King Cyrus. He's forming it in now together to emancipate these people that pretend that they've been in captivity. I mean, when we presented that a few live streams ago, were in 1940. The War Cabinet, Milner and group on Blighty, said and gave, they were handing the New World Order to the Jews to right the wrongs. What wrongs? What wrongs? Well, it actually means the wrongs that were created under following the gospel. That's the wrongs in their eyes. So you can see at that point, Blighty was screwed completely at elite level. And then you can see then why everything else has taken place post-1940. But it began before that. First World War was about annihilating the Aryan race. And they did it all by themselves. And people today still put these people on a pedestal as something to be revered. You know, it's something to be sad about because they were so programmed that they actually volunteered to go and die for this. And it's like they're now trying to and getting ready to do this again. To do it again. And I'm not so sure it's not going to succeed because the youth are so inept in everything outside of nonsense. Their parents are inept in everything outside of sanity. And they're so self-absorbed. So in the amen, it's all good. No, it's not all good, chaps. You've been emasculated. And drugs have been a big part of that. Even the dance scene has been a big part of that. You know, it's like everything's been stepping stone to dismantling the might of the Western male so they can bring in these crazy people. And you can see what's happening in Syria. You know, they've now took it over. You'll have the mullahs of the psychotic mindset who are going to do exactly what they did in Iran when they got rid of the Shah and turn what was a pretty sound nation into a cesspit. And the first thing they do is attack the females. That's coming. They're setting it up bigger everywhere now. And watching the TV this week was interesting because I don't get to see it often. But I noticed that a lot of adverts, it were all white female black male, white kid and black kid. And I'm thinking, why are they doing that? Why would they do that? Well, one point is they want to teach the younger generations to outbreed the race. Well, it's fine. But I'm with Muhammad Ali. When he was asked by Parkinson about this very thing, would you do mixed race? And he said, no, I want my offspring to look like me. And so do I. It's not a racist comment. It's a fact. You want to procreate, you want your offspring to look like you. So if people want to say that's racist, then I'll cite Muhammad Ali, who said it. Live on television on Parkinson, back in the 70s. So they're trying to teach the kids to breed outside the race. But then I thought there's an even more sinister thing going on there, and that's this. The invading force across Europe, yes, there are Africans amongst it, but the main force that's invading everywhere, that the empire is moving into place, are Asiatic, Persian, Arab, not blacks. Blacks have been this, these Arabs have enslaved more blacks, and still do to this day, than were ever enslaved during what we class as the slave time when they were settling on the plantations in America. So the Arabs have never been friends of the blacks. And the reason you've got black Muslims is because they took over Nigeria, Algeria, and the North Africa. But if you look at what's happening, I just thought, looking at these adverts, they want everybody to hate the black guy. Because while you're doing that, you're not seeing actually what's happening. Because it's the mullahs that you can see what's happening in Syria. It's then that'll start pushing that idea on top of wherever you find Islam. And Islamic males who tend to go with it because they are big on do as we are, do we say, to the women, to the children. And as I pointed out last week, and I have many times, a mosque is just a bank. It's all it is, it's a bank. And this, this fantasy that it's somehow a proper bank because it doesn't charge interest, to its own, you go up mosque, you're not going to get a loan, they won't give you nothing. It's the fact that they extort every penny they get, that they then lend interest-free to their own, under extortion of the communities. It's a bank. Nothing else, wrapped in a religious ethos to further force people to believe they have to give it. These are just systems that the empire uses. They've done it with Christianity, they've done it with Judaism, and they're doing it with Islam. There's no different. They're all systems utilised by these elites. And it's been going on forever because people are so weak, so inept, unable to take responsibility for their own lives. There is the problem. There is the cause of it all. And it's sad. And back to Chabad Lubavitch, they're very clear. When I've watched so many of their lectures, so many of the rabbis speaking to their own, not knowing they're being recorded. I mean, these are lectures and such that were meant to be made public, where you get them, you can see what they're talking about in reality to their own. And it's quite worrying. But this is the biggest thing that they speak about in most of the speeches when they're speaking to their own, and people just don't get it. But I've got an image actually with it, but take my word for it, I've watched many of these lectures where they all refer to this reality. Our Messiah will only appear once Europe and Christianity are totally destroyed. So is it good news that Islam invades Europe? It is excellent news. Islam is the broom of Israel. Rabbi David Toitu of Chabad Lubavitch. And that's not just him. You know, people say, oh, it's just a fringe. It's not the fringe. That is the group based around the Rebbe, which all the presidents since Carter have signed every year. Our boys will be doing it here, and across Europe we just don't see it. America's the land of the free, and you have access to free information there. That's why we get to see it in America. So whereas people thrust it all on America and say, no. It's actually because it's America that you get to see what's going on in the background. In the other countries, it's hidden. And remember, Astana in Kazakhstan is the new gig. All these priests of each of these religions, the politicians, the United Nations, the WEF, and all the offshoots have made the decision and agreed to this installation of the Noahide system. All of them on your behalf. It's important stuff, this, and it triggers people. But then people who are hearing something that they have to face themselves for the first time do get triggered. It's the way of the world. And I've said before, this is not a channel for fruit bats, for thick people, for stupid people. Because I'm not here to placate lunatics. I'm telling and speaking what I know to be there out there in the big wide world. From their own mouths. And I cite it wherever I can. I produce the evidence wherever I can. And there are parts where I'm expressing what I've seen, but cannot show, perhaps. But we're investigating. We're investigating what the hell is going on. Because if you're truthful with yourself, 90% of people out there are still going, what the hell? Well, that's the kind of stuff that's moving this game called New World Order, called starvation. And looking again at this milk fiasco, is there something else going on with this? Are they trying to get you to, on your own back, by consent, cease drinking milk products? Because then they can say, oh, we're not going to manufacture it anymore. So these farmers, I'm watching you guys, because I think you're being led astray by some of these big landowners that got the big subsidies. The ones that have got the new tractors, brand new combine harvesters, you know, the multi-million pound John Deere stuff that they don't own. John Deere owns it, because if you don't play along, the software gets taken out of your machine. This has been going on for a long time. Are these the people that are encouraging the farmers to do things they shouldn't, like they're blocking ports? If you're talking about starvation, chaps, why in the world would you consider blocking the port as just something that's going to enhance not starving the people? That's not what the French do. The French go and attack the councils, the governments, where it's happening. Where it's happening. I mean, nobody shines the light at the problem. They shine the light at the problems they've been told is the problem by the very people that are the problem. Because they're not going to stop. They're too invested in it. They're too terrified. They're more terrified of the elites than they are of you. And it's a sad state of affairs in this world. Nothing changes anything like fear. And if they have no fear of anything other than those that are pulling the strings, then they're going to dance to those that are pulling the strings. And I'm wary of this farmers' revolt. Very wary when I watch the actions that these revolts, so-called, are actually carrying out. And we need to be aware of this. We need to look carefully at exactly what's going on. Because as I've said before, Gareth Jones, as I've been watching for quite a number of years, and he's always saying good stuff. And I liked a lot of what he was saying until two big Tory hobnobs turned up at his farm. Rees-Mogg, and then a couple of months later, Portillo. And this guy has the ear of the farming community. He has the ear of anybody that's interested and concerned about what is going on in agriculture. So it's like the kicker on this that's happening now is that this could be the kicker point where people actually do go back to the farmers direct. Because the governments are no longer subsidising the small farmers. So they need your money. But it's back to that convenience again, isn't it? That they massage you all with. You know, most people can't even be asked to go to the supermarket anymore. They want it delivered. They can't be asked to go out and get a takeaway. They want it delivered. You're so lazy. That's the convenience that's killing the game. And so it's going to take some kind of guy, you know, you're going to have something about you if you're going to actually get in your car and go and purchase from a farmer as opposed to going to the supermarket. And it's going to take farmers to stop wallowing in the self-pity, because the mess you're in, you've created yourself through your own ignorance and believing you have to obey a government and defer. That's ignorance. You're in the same boat because of your own ignorance and activity and behaviour. You're going to have to pull your fingers out now and work that little bit harder like farming used to be. You've got so many machines now to do everything for you. You don't even have to walk on your fields anymore. You've got them bloody, whatchamacallits. That's what's killed everything. It's convenience. Everybody's jumped on convenience and they can't get off it. They can't get off it. You know, you can see where the problem is. You're still thrusting all your money at it. You're still spending your money with the very thing that's going to turn on you and start telling you how it is. You're going to do it. And you're still doing it. You're funding it. You're purchasing the products. You're purchasing the services. You're doing it. You're building your own demise. You need to start being very careful where you put your money. But then that takes a bit of thought. You're going to have to sit down and work it out. Again, why are you going to do that? Google. You're going to go to the devil. Tell me, Google. Tell me, Alexa. You can't even think anymore. You've handed your offspring over to the schools who are programming your offspring. They've just done a lockdown drill in the schools. Why? What's that for? Pandemic, they said. That's false imprisonment, ladies and gentlemen, but then you forgot. You're not seeing it. Why do you think they put these fences up? It's not to protect your offspring, it's to stop you getting in. And the first exposition I did in 2009, when the first event in which they sent text messages to the parents telling them they couldn't have the children after school. And I fully investigated that. Put it up on my website, leafleted schools, got in loads of trouble with the school who tried to ban me from the school. That was quite funny. The deputy had to retire. Put it up on my website, leafleted. What are you on about? Schools got in loads of trouble with the school. I've just turned something on because I'm typing on wrong keyboard. I'm not very good at this, Malaki. Just a minute. Where are we? Here we are. I'll just... This is 2009, and did anybody care? Very few. Very few people actually cared about this. Well, that's not supposed to do that. I've had problems with this studio setup before here. It's supposed to be able to edit while you're on without interfering, but it just seems to have stopped. And this is Peel Park Primary School. Now, interestingly, this school specifically had a direct connection to Queen Elizabeth II through pigeons. And it's a sister operation to what used to be a great school, Noahide, now an academy. It's a twin to that. And one man actually funds this. Now, who it is, we couldn't find out. Wouldn't be surprised if it wasn't how big he is himself. And a guy called Purvis Ali, who is an MI5 agent. He's in all your kids' games, his football. He's masterful how they've used this guy to get into everybody's families, especially the getting into training your kids. And it was a drill, and there he is in all his glory. Sad character, really. But, you know, we all grew up with this guy. We all know who he is. The family's okay, a lot of family, but these people are playing nasty, and it's your kids that they're after. Just programming them. But this was the first event that I saw, and I exposed it completely. It's worth a look. University of Central Lancashire involved. There's your bunch of toss bags, all involved in it. So MI5, so yeah, he's business advisor, so he's giving money to small businesses, so he gets into everything. But it's not just this guy, this is just an example of how they actually do this. Received an award from Shell Live Wire, recognition and rerunning outstanding enterprise. Well, yeah, it's funded by MI5. Professional Football Scouts Association. They're these people that get them into everything to make them look good. Senior Business Advisor, Ironman Enterprise Trust, Corver Coaching, Regenerate Pennine Lancashire Business Advisor, Business Development Manager, University of Central Lancashire, NVQ5 Operational Management. Oh, they give them everything. New Era Trust, Accrington School Governor, Accrington Secondary School, Peel Park Junior School Secretary, Sharp. Yeah. But the actual drill took place on the Friday on half term, so that there was a full week of no school where nobody could complain, strike and moan about it. But I were in that week, spent the entire week investigating it, and they basically set up a faked accident. It was an accident, but they said it was a chemical spill. Now this was the interesting thing. It was on the M65, this fake chemical spill, everybody's there, emergency service, etc. And between that accident and Peel Park School, which was about 1.5 miles away, there was a school in between them. Right, so this was a chemical leak that they used this as the excuse. They closed down Peel Park, did this drill, but the school between Peel Park and the incident, and it were like not even half a mile away from the incident, no problems whatsoever. But the whole event was based on the fact that there was a chemical leak and they kept the kids in at Peel Park in case. Nothing about this game made sense, and I exposed the entire lot. I scared a lot of them to death because I investigated every body that was into it, involved in it, every corporate entity. We learnt about resilience. The teachers were shitting themselves because I were all over them. And I mean shitting themselves because they'd all been told to keep quiet. It's a very good read. But now it seems to be being embedded across the country, and they're now doing this to the kids in the school, training them for lockdown. It's ridiculous. So you've got everything you need is on that page. I will put it up after. Because this is the game they're going to start to play now, in readiness for the launch of this Noahide trust. But there's a lot of trouble to come first. A lot of trouble to come first. And people, you better start getting ready for this. So if people are triggered by what I'm speaking, that's fine. Don't comment, because we're not interested. We're not interested in how you've been triggered. We're not interested in whether it upset you or not. And I'm not interested in whether you think it's evil, stupid, or creepy. So whoever made that comment on last week's video, which I've left up by the way, because the only idiot that looks like an idiot is the one that made the comment. But when you look at the account, it's brand spanking new. So whoever it is that made that comment, he's hiding. He's an arsehole. Doesn't want you to know who it is. A coward. So in my opinion, that would be a lunatic escaped from the lunatic asylum, looking for something new, entered the wise asylum, couldn't cope with it. Well, fine. Don't come. Don't watch. Because we're not interested, or I'm not interested, in your fruit bat opinion. Alright? Not at all. So just go away if you don't like it. You don't need to make a comment. We don't need to know what you feel. We don't care. Right, so that's the end of my Sunday sermon on this, the 8th of December, 2024. Let's have a look who's joined the asylum tonight. Benefactor says, hello Sean and viewers, I'm thrilled to see what surprises you pull out the bag today. Can't wait for the excitement and fun to unfold before your eyes. Well, if that's not exciting enough for you, Benefactor, I don't know what is. Good evening to you. Lex says, big up Sean and all the wise asylum, big up Lex. Evening. Slipknot says, hey up Sean, alright everyone, hey up Slipknot. Nick says, hi to all, looking forward to today's stream. Well, hello Nick, are you a newbie? And welcome. Paul says, good evening Sean and fellow inmates, evening Paul. PY Music says, good evening Sean and all, evening Paul, how you doing, me old China? I'll have to come and see you before the old Crimbo. Yeah, we might be able to get a bit together in a bit, so good news there, matey. June says, good evening, Sean, and the panel. Evening to you, June. Jerry says, evening, Sean, and all in the wise asylum. No pads on these walls. Just auditing truth, exactly. There's no pads and none of them straitjackets either. You're free to come, you're free to go. And that's the way it is. Evening to you, Jerry. Jane says, evening, all evening, Jane. Nick says, Don't Matters podcast yesterday, Stephen didn't give a F. Oh, is that what you were telling me about today, Mew? Yeah, he's, I've told you what I thought. He's just a kid that liked the spirograph. Just a little bit too much. If you get my drift. Where are we now? Damascus, says Mew. Evening, Mew. Ulick says, hey, Sean and chat. Hello, Ulick. And cheers, Mew, by the way. Had plenty to say, did he now? Was it worthwhile? Or was it just nonsense? Was it just utter shit? Pray tell. What bizarre nonsense did you have to listen to? Yeah, I think he'd had too much to drink, to be honest, says Nick. Alright, he's a drinker. Pregnant Wedgie Ward says, ISIS Ra'el immediately moves into Syria. Precisely. They're all shifting it up again now. Me says, alright, me. How you doing, lad? A week on. How's the funeral been? New first time I've seen Neil, but I subscribed to his channel today. Upward Dog says, evening, all evening, Sean. Looking forward to your insights tonight. Evening to you, Upward Dog. Jace is back. Hello, Jace, me old China. How's it doing, brother? Greetings to you. Nice to see you there. And thanks for your efforts again, both mods, by the way. Always, if I forget at the end, I always thank you for your efforts. Upward says, Mewpit, how are you, mate? Jerry says, Gizzy in chat, Jace. Gets it in chat, Jace. Yeah, you go. How you doing, Jerry? An SPV WWF, that's the one. World Wildlife Fund. UNESCO sites, yep, again, everything that they do, it's just thieving it. But have you seen the game they've been playing for the last couple of years now in America about scaring people from going into these national parks and into the wilderness in America? It's quite obvious to me. It doesn't mean to say there's not bad things happening. they'd set that up too. But, pregnant wedgie boys, a load of wankers, absolutely. Where are we? I want some land next to a river off-grid. Essentially, you're next to a river. Especially one you want with a 40-foot waterfall, you can put a turbine in. You put a turbine in one of them, you can power 40, 50 houses. Unbelievable. I was once watching an actual documentary on it. I think it was probably on YouTube years ago. And this guy had bought this old thing, derelict thing, and it had a 40-foot drop. And there was an old turbine in there, but obviously it needed refurbing. I think it cost him 40 grand to refurb. And I'm thinking to myself, that'll power his house. No, he fitted it up, he was powering all houses surrounding, and he were in countryside. Something like 30 houses, it completely supplied all the electricity. I was quite gobsmacked just to what degree them water turbines produce electricity. It's quite astonishing, really. And it wasn't that big. I think diameter was maybe 2 foot. So it wasn't a massive thing that he refurbed. Yeah, I don't blame you there, me. Jerry says, Elon of Mars, book written by. I don't know what you mean there, lad. Nick says, they have been eating up the atmosphere. Yeah, they have. I think that explains the northern lights, not the shit excuse of solar flares. Of course you have. I mean, you look, there's buds coming on trees. The fungi didn't get its cold spell to set off a lot of them. I mean, it's got it now, but even so, it's not that cold, is it really? I think the reason why they're trying to do it as well is because if it gets too cold, most of the immigrants will piss off. Won't they? Them that have been coming in over the last 4 years. If it gets too cold here, they'll all bugger off. Maybe we need to start doing some snow dancing. Blighty boys. You know, get outside and get some snow dancing done. Hey, yeah. Works for Native Americans. Where are we here? Yuli says Tyler Perry. Who's that? Solar flies. Well, to users, wealth to us is health, but to them it's the real estate put into a trust in a private members association. Well, a little birdie sent me something this week suggesting that they're now operating in every court under municipal law. Now, what the connotations of that are exactly, I'm not 100%. But I think it was suggested that it was a big part of why you're not being heard. So, interesting. Pregnant wedgie board. That's funny because the Bolsheviks contained a fair amount of Mongolians. This is the thing, you see, and now... So when they come out with this territorial, I thought, bloody hell, that's interesting. And then you got that flamenco guy who was saying they took 1,000 years away and all this malarkey. So I spent a year or so investigating it, looking into it, studying it, everything that was available. And to be quite honest, once you started to seek, there were quite a lot available. Not necessarily under that title, but looking at some histories of battles, which is always one of the first things to do when I'm investigating something. You look at the battles, look at the wars, look at the sides, who were the leaders, what organisations were they connected to. And that, straight away, gives you a picture of who you're dealing with in that war. Yeah, otherwise you're just getting propaganda. And you've got to study both sides to get the middle ground so you can actually be between the lines. And very interesting that torch. Now, my grandfather used to mention torches quite a lot when I was a youngster and we were talking about history. And he said they were a cruel race. They were a bit backward and old side of mindset. But when you actually look at the maps that they're not blown up now to make it look like it was the whole of the Siberia area, all that, it wasn't. It was just one small country in a mass of Scythian countries right across that area. And I'd already studied the Chinese histories and almanacs, and the enemy of the Chinese was the Mongols. Before the Japanese, it was always the Mongols. So they've always been quite a pertinent fighting force, especially when the tribes used to come together. But this idea of Tartary, and then straight away it's put up, this Fomenko's telling you how Tartary was a Russian empire, the Russian civilization, blah, 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 and they're attaching all this architecture to it. And it's like, yeah, okay, so then you're getting into the wars of Tartaria, or Tartary as it was pretty much called. They had two enemies, the Muscovites, and they'd been enemies forever. So they weren't nothing to do with Russia, except for that they were enemies. And then once the Rothschilds came on the scene, obviously the Holy See had then decided to start attacking the Tartars. And so they had two enemies before they were finally pretty much taken out. So there was this Tartaria thing that they've got going up and put it, it's not right. Most of it's just wind and piss, smoke and mirrors. So you've got to be careful. But of course it would support this idea that Putin's some kind of fucking Christian hero. The guy's no hero at all. He's another part of this Noahide system. He was brought up by Chabad family, basically. You know? And is this Putin we've got now the same Putin? Is this Trump the Trump that we used to see talking ill of all these agendas that we all know are not the best? Some people have suggested he was killed in 1989 along with another guy. I can't remember his name. Charles. Does he look like the old Charles, this strange looking fella? No, but he looks like that fella. Oh, I've moved it. Oh, hang on. Yeah, well, never mind. I've moved it again because we got through some, but... And then there's some other stuff as well that's pretty interesting. And I tried to find the folder because I've got a folder full of these images. But I couldn't locate it, so I don't know where I've actually put it. But there's some interesting stuff that they hide, that they killed with the Hindenburg. And the fact that this was a massive way of travel for a very long time, centuries even. And that in order to create this idea that we're evolving from cavemen, and you know, we've always been thick as pig shit, they've completely removed it to pretend that we are the be-all and end-all, and that civilization is something brand spanking new. It's just, everything they do is wind and piss. Something serious happened at some point, which is where you get into your catastrophe ideas and archaics and such like. Who's taking it from older books? And I read a lot of them books, sort of in the 90s, but I wasn't so much focused to that knowledge. So it wasn't something I wanted to sort of... But I read a lot of them, and these towers, a lot of these towers that we see that are being classed as Tartarian, were actually ports for these airships. And I do have a plethora of these images, but I just couldn't locate them. But maybe I'll try and locate them for another live stream, and we'll have a look at it. But, you know, it's all there. You look at history of America, San Francisco specifically. In the late 1800s, they were demolishing architecture that were unbelievable. It's like they presented these, we looked at them before, these world fairs, which is the way they used to they started to program the Royal Society, started to program the populations because there were no TV, no radio, not really much in schooling. They were the ways in which they started to propagandise people. These world fairs. Now, they keep telling everybody that they built these huge fairs, the buildings, the architecture, everything, for these world fairs, and then knocked them down. It's bullshit. It's bullshit. This is the architecture that existed. They used them in this and then said they'd knocked them down. I mean, why do people... It's like the Cecil Hotel. They built it. It was exquisite in its architecture. Completely programmed all American Ivy League kids to Schofield Bible. And then knocked it down. It's like... No, these things... This is the old architecture that they've been constantly destroying. So that they can tell you that you're evolving. Yeah, of course you are, you know. Where are we there? Where are we there? Right, I want some... Yeah, yeah, so, yeah, Bolsheviks contain a fair amount of Mongolians, yeah. Tons of them, in truth. And when I looked at the Venetians back in the day, either the Venetians were controlling the Mongols, which means that they were Persian imperial forces like they claimed, all these three families, and that Genghis Khan was one of their arms, a bit like King Cyrus. Or the Mongols had the Venetians operating for them. Either way, it was the Venetians that screwed the Genovese. It was the Venetians that destroyed Constantinople by allowing in this caliphate. That wasn't. I mean, they weren't a caliphate then. They took the crescent moon for Sophia, claimed it for their own. That's not what invaded Constantinople. They took it on. Obviously they had to, because it then encouraged the Muslims to believe that was a Muslim thing. No. It was a creation after the event. So the Venetians are key to all this, and they are black nobility. And people go, oh, it's not black colour. Well, they weren't Negroids, let's put it that way. But I mean, if you look at some of these, out in them Indian, Persian nations, you will always now and again come across guys that are so black. It's black. But they're not Negro. They're not Negroes. They are black. Yeah? Now, I have a friend who is very into this, how they're using the medical to steal identities, to kill you off. Doctors, lawyers, police, units in all the institutions that we take for granted. A lot of these doctors are actually just information hubs and such. There's also... She's so into this, it's unbelievable. And I've sort of given an insight to it in one that we did a couple of years ago. It just shows a hooded guy on a computer, like dark web kind of thing. Very interesting stuff in there, because that's happening to anybody that's wealthy. This is how they're taking your wealth. It's a Jesuit gig, because I picked this up for centuries ago when the Jesuits set it up, where they targeted a rich estate, killed off the... Once they'd massaged the female to the cause, they'd kill off the male, and then just basically drain the living shit out of this woman, so that they ended up getting the inheritance at the end of her life. So they killed her offspring, but first they killed husband. Or even plant their own females into these widowers' estates, a bit like Catherine the Great, married Peter the Third or Second, I can't remember. Within 6 months, she'd knocked him off, became queen, you might say, of Russia, on behalf of the Prussians, the Anhalt family. This is how they do it. And today, like I said, they purposely presented the Holy See families as white. But while you're stuck on race and colour, it matters, doesn't it? It matters a lot. So they know what they're doing. They know exactly what they've been doing. They've been doing it forever. Where are we there? Big E says, sorry I'm a bit late, Sean, just fixing up my new generator. It's so nice to be warm. Good stuff, Big E. Nice to see you warm. Your mate did contact me. I haven't got back to him yet. I've been absolutely mowed out with this shift over, so I will get back to him. So if he talks to you and says, just ignore him, mate, I'm not. I'll just get on to him when I can actually talk to him. So how you doing, Big E? Good that you're warm, man. Good generator. What is it? What, petrol, diesel, or one of them dual gens? East Indian, who were using the post office. Slipknot says it's Prince Charles. What do you mean there, Trev? What's Prince Charles? The new one, or the one that's getting off Evelyn? Looks like Charlie Boy, says Nick. Right, so what do you mean you guys do? Are you agreeing with what I'm suggesting, or what the image is suggesting, or what I'm suggesting? Sausage fingers, yeah. Charles chasing kids in the woods. Jacob and William are female skulls. The long heads, really, is that what you're saying? Interesting. Look, didn't I present before that they were the two kids that were born to Diana are not the two kids that they present to us today. And just yourselves look for them early when they were boys, them two lads. And look at them now. Even Ginger Minge, it's not the same guy. And then presented two pieces where the real ones are dead. You don't want to be getting born into them families, do you? Bloody hell. Cos, me old China, how you doing? We got the eyeball, the lips, and the eyeball. Evening, Cos. How's you lick? Says Jerry. Pregnant wedgie board, Slipknot. It's funny you say that. I can't bring myself to say king. I go to correct myself when in conversation. Well, he's certainly no king of England. He's king of Scotland. And he ain't king of England. There's a bit of shenanigans going on, isn't there, between family and Medici. Out Camilla there. Anne. Now, Kate's back, isn't she? And I have a funny feeling that what went on there last year is she either learnt something, either about the family, about the agenda, or a bit like Diana had when they gave her the revealing ritual, where she was told that she was just a broodmare and that his consort was Camilla. I think something of that nature took place last year. She found something out and she was in such shock they couldn't risk having her in the public eye. Otherwise, they would have had another Diana run. So that's my thoughts on what's happened in the Kate scenario. Because I'll tell you now, I can say it, but earlier in the year, the royal family were putting out propaganda, and I had Prince Andrew on my Facebook for about 2 weeks, and I think what they were doing, they were trying to see if I were picking that propaganda up. Yeah, it was an interesting few weeks, let's just say. Where are we? Energy from the trees, says me. Nick, Antichrist is AI. Well, it seems to be taking over everything, doesn't it? I think I've heard on radio lawyers now were actually suing Google and all its offshoots if they've been using your data without your knowledge to train AI. L is God on his light. I hate that term, God. It's so ambiguous. Commander and chief like. Open dog, but it's also captivating. What is? What's captivating? Which is why I love the Wise Asylum. Oh, right. Okay, no problem. Good, I'm glad you love it. Nice one, Open dog. You're teaching us the stories they spin. Spell breaking. That's the name of the game, brother. I like to break the spells, and that's why they don't like me. They don't like the call me. And what they've done with my Twitter this last couple of weeks is disgusting. I'm disgusted. He's supposed to be for free speech. I don't fucking think so. I don't think so. Anyway, That's enough of that, Maliki. Thanks for that, Upward. Jerry says, the temple may be in trust form and not of stone. Well, they will build. They do need one. It's in all the literature that they have to do it. Wasn't he in that temple in Paris for its reopening? Yeah, Trump, Longhead with her, Elon with her. They were all there. Dave took over Notre Dame, which I think they did anyway, because anything Gothic I don't like. I've never felt comfortable anywhere near Gothic architecture. It's twisted shit, whatever it is. It's dark, and I don't like it. And I did put up a report. God, it's years since I've looked at this. I can't even remember what I put on it. That's all. I did actually write it. I keep doing that. Oh, and then it affects this one. So I need to stop doing that. I've never felt comfortable in stereo, see. There we go. I said, I upset a lot of people actually with this when I put it out. But it's what I saw, it's what I felt, it's what I'm reading. And it was, let Notre Dame burn. How naughty is that? Oh, a naughty boy. Very naughty boy, actually. Oh, hang on. What are you doing, crazy machine? So I said, let Notre Dame burn, because I was feeling naughty. And I can't even remember what I actually said in it, but there was quite a bit of information in there. And as it turned out, them that were funding its refurb were all small hats. So now the small hats, in my opinion, are operating out of Notre Dame. The Hunchback is back, and Notre Dame is probably a big centrepiece for this new trust system. Yeah. So yeah, I think there's definitely something going on there. Pregnant says Trump was and is surrounded by Chabad, as you know. He pardoned Rabashkin, did he now? And that's a joke, isn't it, with Biden? I mean, for God's sake, how many times were he asked, are you going to pardon the fruit bat? And how many times did he say, absolutely not? It's quite ridiculous that he went along and did it, isn't it? And I suppose, once you pardon somebody, it can't be undone, would probably be what it's all about. Otherwise, it'd be pointless, wouldn't it? Jaybirds with jaybirds. I think it's Costa Coffee said they fully supported lowering emissions from the cows on farms. Well, earlier in the year, Costa Coffee transferred their milk to Ireland because Coca-Cola own it now, don't they? So they knew about this then. But I've seen one or two. You got to be careful because I've seen a lot of propaganda as well in all this Ireland stuff. But Cadbury have come out and said they're doing it. But Cadbury, I mean, I used to get one of them big boys of Cadbury's every Friday and wolf it. But this is like a year ago. And then all of a sudden I started to notice it didn't taste right. And I had an aftertaste for the rest of the night, maybe a bit sickly. So I had a look into it and they'd started to put aborted fetal cells in the chocolate as a sweetener. So straight away then, and I've never ate Cadbury since. Same with Nestle chocolate, they do the same with Nestle. So if you're a chocolate fan, you really want to keep away from these brands. But then, they're demolishing these brands, but they're all seem to be slowly coming out, and some of them are saying that they've been doing it since July, so they didn't actually tell you. So there could be a claim in there, couldn't there, for false advertising, or I don't know how you'd actually put that out. You know what I mean? But yeah, there's more going on. And Costa Coffee is Coca-Cola. And Coca-Cola were funding IG Farben, Hitler's war machine. So Coca-Cola is no fairy cake, is it? It's a bad one. And always has been. I'm on that Yeo now. I got a bottle the other day from Jersey. Whoa, with that delish, it was creamy as hell. But it's very rarely in any of these supermarkets. But the Yeo in a carton, organic, it's absolutely delicious. And I put it into Devil, and they said they're not putting it in it. So, but I think somebody pointed out that Yeo's owned by Atlantic now. Maybe, but according to Devil, they don't put it in organic because they can't. Otherwise, they can't label it organic. So, I don't know. Pregnant says, bang on, Sean, a word in their ear from on top. The mess is all... Sorry, June says, the mess is all the online shopping. I refuse to buy anything online. Absolutely hate it. I don't. And if I do, very occasionally, somebody else gets it for me. Yeah, I mean, I just don't. I'd rather go, and I will always seek out a local guy. I'd rather give it to somebody who's on their own doing it than these big supermarket kings. Like, if I can buy me back if there's a tobacconist in town, I'll go there. I'd rather give them the money. They might be complete assholes. I don't know, but I'd rather give them the money than a company you know are assholes. You know what I'm saying? Where are we there? Yeah, so, yeah, online shopping's killed a lot. Amazon. I've noticed as well, I've been watching a bit of telly this week. What's Amazon doing in tellies now? How's that happened? What? I can't... The televisions today have no semblance at all to how I remember them. They're completely different. There's no... It's nothing like it used to be. I don't understand it. I don't get it. What's happening? I don't get it. It's really so bizarre how the TV's changed from when I used to watch television. Mewpit says quads. That's the ones, quads. Shuttering on windows and doors keeps you out. Huh? Have I missed something there? Oh, it's shot up. There we go. Pregnant says, that was just after swine flu and the GFC. Nice little sermon. Well, thank you for that, Jerry. PY Music says yes. No worries, bro. Jeremy Vicious. Salutations, Sean. I just been sitting here all quiet like. Cheers. You're welcome. We don't mind you being quiet, Jeremy. It's fine. We don't mind at all. Welcome. Jerry's laughing his tits off. Moving in the municipal courts gives them access to the fines and the creation of credit instruments. The commercial world, no. Sort of the gist of what I was given this week, Jerry, there, but I haven't had time to fully grasp that, to see how you would snot it. Because, of course, this case is still going on. We're going to have another session. All fair dues, it's not till next year, but, you know, the game keeps on moving. It's an interesting gig. So, I'm going to have to look at this municipal courts malarkey because I don't understand what that's all about. The jelly pads of old. That's right. Helly. Well, we knew what you meant, I think. Pinochet, an example. Yep. Big E, it's petrol, mate. You can sniff it and all that. You can sniff the old... Is it two-stroke? Oh, do you know, I got out of my car the other day and there were some lads getting out of a van with two-stroke bikes. Oh, my God, I had to stand there and sniff it for about 5 minutes. That smell of two-stroke. Oh, man. When we used to have motorbikes when I was a youngster, oh, that smell. You'd purposely rev it up at Gary's just so you could all sit there and sniff two-stroke oil and petrol. I mean, probably dangerous and probably the reason why I'm crazy like I am today. But we loved it and enjoyed it. But two-stroke. Is it two-stroke, lad? Oh, that must smell great. Good to hear you back on your feet, Ian. You've got it warm. That's good stuff. God says, first time I ever noticed you have a bit of your finger missing. Reminds me of that Tales from the Unexpected episode. There you go, matey. It's gone. It's a goner. Lorraine says, evening everyone. Sorry I'm late. No problem, Lorraine. You're excused. Evening to you. Yep, I'm very well, thanks, Lorraine. I hope you're the same. And ready for Christmas. Cos says, Lorraine, hi. And we've got the wavy guy with the headphones on. Ulick says, luckily... Oh, shut up. Luckily for us, he wasn't picking his nose at the time. What are you referring to my finger? Go back later, Lorraine, and watch the clip of the woman looking after Elon. Worth a look. Yeah. I mean, I've had that now for quite some time. And I thought, well, I'll give him his due. He's not affecting my Twitter. And then they've attacked it this week and like they can kiss my ass. And then I've got a plethora of images that, again, I've been collecting. And I couldn't find them tonight. I don't know where I put them. Cos gives you the nose and the gigs. The eyeballs. Lorraine, Costa Coffee say they're giving away millions of cups of coffee. Must have a huge glut of milk. You see, this is the thing. I'm trying to work out what's going on with this milk malarkey. But as somebody suggested last week, if we're looking at that, what we're not looking at. So again, but the intention is to starve us all, poison us all, basically get rid of as many people as they can. So yeah, it might be diversion, but actually they're doing it. You know, they're on it. And that propylene glycol is fucking lethal. The third chemical is lethal, and polymer. 60% polymer they put in this milk. And they put polymer in everything. Bread, flour, butter, everything. E551 is the E number, as I'll call it. Silicon dioxide, or a thickener. It's a thickener they say they're using it for. They've been loading everybody up with polymer. Now, a guy I used to watch called Tony, he says the polymer is the cause of... oh shit, what's it called? You know when shit comes out your skin? What's it called? Because we all thought it was to do with chemtrails back in the day, but apparently it looks like it's because they've been putting it in all the health products. For a very long time, especially in America and Canada. Was Morgellons disease, that's the one. Polymer. And it's in everything. So whatever it is, we don't want it in us. Ulick says, because I was told the story, he lost it when he buzzed on over his hand. I should have said that entire joke. Oops. Jerry says, a lot of cell mixing going on. Yeah. Lorraine says, Graham's milk, full cream, organic milk is nice. We always buy Yeo Valley organic milk. Can't trust the others. No. Well, I thought I were on a good thing with that. What's it called? I can't even remember what it's called now. I had it for you. It were Oilers, but it were... no, I can't remember even what it's called. Because it did taste good, but it did get pointed out to me. The fact that it lasted a bit longer than obviously loaded it up with shit. But yeah, I mean, it's like I said before, you've got to mitigate. If you're going to shit yourself and you'll not eat anything, you've got to reckon first that your body is actually just a massive filter. That's what its job is. It's filtering what you're breathing in, and it's filtering shit going in your eyeballs, in your lungs, up your nose, in your mouth, up your bum. And it's just, and what you eat, it's filtering all the time and taking the toxins out. It's if you're aware of what's what and you can sort of help it a little bit by not overloading it, then I think your body can pretty much deal with anything, you know, it can deal with it. Because a lot of people get really scared, don't they? Because they go like rabbit, not thinking, well, how do I work on this? Like everybody goes on to me, well, you're getting water in the plastic. Yeah, I am, but it's better than tap water. And then so what if I die tomorrow? Who gives a shit? Nobody gets hurt if you're alive, do they? So what you fuss about? And people fuss too much about things like that. Better to support sole traders than big corporations. Absolutely. On the school, the shutters. Ah ha ha. Is the video still on your channel, Sean? One of the earliest ones. Yeah. They have been knocking. Well, they haven't for a bit. But they've knocked quite a lot of videos off. But usually somebody grasses on me for having medical information that they don't like. It's on the website. I'll put that up. I can't remember whether I made a video. I didn't really do videos back then because I tried making a couple of videos, and my Lancashire accent was pathetic. I couldn't bear listening to it. And there's a mate pointed out to me the other week. He says, probably the reason why you get away with it on here is because algorithms can't understand what the hell you're on about. I thought that was funny. Cravendale, that's it, Lair. Thanks, mate. So yeah, you reckon algorithms don't pick me up because they haven't got a clue what I'm saying? Fair do, isn't it? Cos has got fist, beard, and thumbs up. Hey, Treen, how are you, Chuck? Thanks for that info, by the way. I'm going to give you a ring, but then I couldn't remember what your number is because you keep ringing another phone that I don't use. And so when I get to it, I don't know who's what or where. So if you'd be so kind to send me your number on email, I will ring you because there's some very interesting stuff in that data you sent me. Very interesting, and I may need to know a little bit more, if that's possible. So I'll leave that with you, Trina, and nice to see you, darling. Hope everything's good with you. And she says, everything you said, as far as I've followed, I've never seen anywhere else. The rest use the usual filters, and that's how I know you are more correct in your thinking than anyone I see. Well, thank you very much for that, Trine. And the way I look at it is, if you recognise that, then you're no different. You can see. You know what I mean? That's how I see it. And I think that's why we don't have a massive following. Very few people can A, understand what the hell I'm on about, but B, are prepared to accept what I'm on about, because in many cases they have to acknowledge certain things in themselves that they just can't deal with. So thanks for that, Trine. And yeah, but it's ditto, because if people can see that, then as far as I'm concerned, we are on the same wavelength, and you are definitely a 100% wise asylum inmate, and that's groovy. So I'm glad to see you on, Trine. That's great. Jerry says A-Z. Sniffing two-stroke. Yeah. Well, not quite. Well, yeah, sniffing it, actually. Have you never sniffed it? Oh, it's jolly good. It's a great smell. RD 350. Oh, yeah. But no, I just got out of my car. It was only this week, and there were a trolley there, and these lads, kids were getting out with all the thingies. And before I got out of the car had wafted it in. I'm like, oh my God. I got out of the car, I was just stood there going, they must have thought I were odd. Their father probably knew exactly what I was doing. But I don't think kids knew what I was doing. I was just... the days and the memories it brought back, it were unbelievable. So yeah, sniffing two strokes, good for you. I love the smell of an old tool cupboard. An old tool cupboard, says Cos. Yeah, they have a smell, don't they, tools? That's true. Biggie, yup. Silkaline kicks ass, my friend. Oh, yeah, Biggie, it does indeed. So you're having a lovely Christmas this year, sniffing two-stroke. Good on you, man. And Jerry says, two-stroke RD 350. Oh, yeah. Do you remember RD 500s that came out? They were insane. For the day, you remember them? Bloody hell, but... Everybody used to rob RD 250s. So me and my mate used to salvage in Canal. You remember the old prams where they had a bottom base? It were like that, and then they had two hooks on, didn't they? 4 hooks. Well, we used to cut them up, put them on a big rope, throw them in over at Canal Bridge. And we were always pulling out RD 250s because they always nicked them and then threw them in Canal. Yeah, I think we got all MT5s out of there, plastic chickens, all sorts. EIDs, yeah. Pregnant Wedgie Boys, cheers Sean and good night, all good night, pregnant. Treen, it's all going according to the script. Book of Revelation mentions when Damascus falls. Yeah, that's right, they're playing the script to a tune. Of course, most of those evangelists think it's God's doing how deception works out. I know, they're crazy. They're insane. I feel sorry for them, really. Cravendale says, Lorraine. Yeah, thanks for that, Lorraine. The best teacher I know. Thank you so much, Treen. It makes it worthwhile. It really does. I nearly said I wouldn't do one today because we've been so busy. But I just thought, no, don't be so lazy. And I thought, because you can gob off all night anyway, you don't even need a script because you've got plenty of gob. So I thought, sod it. Think of the inmates and do your live stream, you lazy git. So I did. And here we are. And it's turned out all right. So thanks, Treen, darling. Missed a few weeks because of the usual buffering. We need to work out something we can sort out for you there. It's not good unless you're at the bottom of a mountain. But there must be a way to sort out your internet, Joe. Thanks, Treen. Jerry says, nice one, Treen. Well, that's about it, chaps. I've said my feast. Next week will be in a new pad. And it'll be nice because I'm going to make an effort. So, I hope you have a good week. I hope Father Christmas is watching you and you're being good. You know what I'm saying? I'll send him a letter from the Wise on behalf of all the inmates of the Wise Asylum, just to let him know that they've all been on your best behaviour. We'll forget the truancies. We'll make sure he doesn't need to concentrate on the truancies, etc., etc. And hopefully, you'll all get nice prezzies, and he won't bring you any oiler and such. So, yeah, thanks for that. Happy moving house. I can't wait. It's going to be nice because there are no neighbours, so I'll make a lot of racket. And that's good, because I make a lot of racket. It's just my nature. So, thanks, chaps. Mods, thanks for taking part. Thanks for everybody for taking part. And I'll see you next week. Till then, where am I here? Oh, wrong bloody keyboard thing again. Gets a bit confusing, I'm not the best. Till the next time.
electronic